Hey everybody. Back in 1983 I was living in a little township called Avensley, and back in those days I used to make audio recordings back on the old cassette tapes of what I'd been doing in life. Well, in 1983, Ash Wednesday actually, in February 83 we had a major fire went through the area that I lived in then. I lived in Avensley. The fire went through Cockatoo and several other areas where I eventually did live. But anyway, I made a recording about what happened in those events because the fire started very close to our house and we were evacuated. But I'm not going to say any more because it's all referenced in this tape. There's just an overlaying picture, so this time it's all about what I'm talking about rather than what you're seeing. So yeah, have a bit of a listen to me back in 1983. And talking about major fires, became known as the Ash Wednesday bushfires in Victoria, 1983. Lots of tragedy, lots of things happened. Here's how I saw the whole thing.
I just want to talk a second about the fires that we had back in February. I was coming home from work on the Wednesday night and I saw the smoke in the sky, which was actually from the Belgrave South fires, and I had to detour around from Wellington Road up back into Ferntree Gully and back through Belgrave, and while I was up there I went down to Belgrave South to see if I could get through, and I saw the fires down there, down right close to the church. Smoke everywhere and people frantically running everywhere. People didn't know what to do, where to go, and it's a bit of hysteria shown by quite a lot of people. I came home thinking that we would be quite safe up here, and it's 43 degrees or something. It was very hot, and we could see the smoke down Belgrave Way over the hill from here, and we'd had our tea, and roughly 2 hours passed down through across Wellington Road. About 2 hours after that, the Cockatoo fire started just down the bottom of our hill here, and we only knew it was going because the police helicopter was hovering overhead, and we went outside to see what was going on, and naturally enough saw the smoke down the hill. So we immediately started packing all our things, and I cleaned out the gutters. The kids were hosing down all around the house, and Naomi was packing up all the things inside the house, putting them into both cars. We filled up both our cars with what we could and went up to the Randall's house, just around the corner, top of the hill here, and the opposite way from what we believed the fire was travelling. And we stayed there for the whole night, and from there we watched the fire go up through the bush opposite us, and then with the wind change we could see it go down through Cockatoo, and at night the whole sky was lit up because it was just one big red mass, and there were police cars and fire engines and cement mixers full of water, convoys of cement mixers racing down the road, down the main road here, down to Cockatoo. And we had no idea, of course, of what was going on in Cockatoo. We found that out on the news, and we didn't know whether we should stay in the area or whether we should clear out, but we stayed. And at that stage we didn't even know if our house had been burnt down, but about 10 o'clock or so at night we came down, and there was absolutely everybody had cleared out. There was nobody down here, but the house was still here, fortunately. And the air was filled with smoke and ashes, and we sort of didn't know what to expect. And from the hill, the back of the Randalls, we could see how the fire had really ripped through Cockatoo and had gone way off into the distance, across towards Mount Beenack Way and Passan and Warburton area. And they did have fires over there later in the night. They could have been spot fires from the Cockatoo fire that started them. But anyway, we don't know about that. The Belgo South fire, of course, went down to Upper Beaconsfield, and then turned back up towards Gembrook in the night, but it didn't reach Gembrook. Quite a few of the people around here had families, brothers and sisters who lived down in Cockatoo, who had their houses burnt down. There were a couple of 100 houses that got burnt, and about 20 people were killed in the fires. And it was quite a few days where we were watching the skies for smoke, and a couple of times, 3 or 4 times, we had to clear out because of the danger of the fire coming back on us. For a couple of weeks after the fires, the kids, when they saw the sunset, would they, "Oh, there's a fire, there's a fire." But of course it was just the sun setting in the sky. But that's how they reacted to the fires. There were police helicopters and army helicopters hovering around for a week or two afterwards, and the roads were all cut off by the police to stop looters getting in. And it was quite a show. The Prince Charles and Princess Diana came up, and we saw them go past as they had been down to Cockatoo to have a look around and see what was going on. So they drove past the house here, and along with the Premier and a whole heap of other people. We were all standing on the side of the road waving